about the subject of forgiveness. Buried in Love was the title of that message. This week it's Married in Love. Y'all see what I did there? Okay. Stay tuned next week because it's going to rhyme too. But you got to come next week to catch that rhyme. I'm not going to give it away too early. If you missed last week on the title of forgiveness, it will be on YouTube later. We're a 21st century church. We put our messages on YouTube for all the world to see. So type in Restoration Point Church in the search box and you'll find all the messages that we have every Sunday here. Also, feel free to share those messages on social media. If they've blessed you, they might bless somebody else. So keep that in mind. If you're here this morning, and it is Valentine's Day, so we're going with this Married in Love topic, but I don't believe in separating people. You know, you might say, Pastor, I'm not married. That's okay. You know, that doesn't mean that it's time to check out and not pay attention. I think there's some things that are going to be said in here that maybe if you decide one day to get remarried, it'll be beneficial. Or maybe if you don't plan on getting remarried or married, then there's still going to be some good stuff for you to either share with your friends or even any relationships. Good stuff for you as you look at your other relationships outside of marriage. But we are going to focus specifically on marriage, not to say that it's not going to speak to you if you're not married. Just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there. So don't tune me out this morning. Married in Love. Where are you going, baby? I'm going to use you here in a second. You going to be back? You going to be back? Just in a little bit, I'm going to use you for something. She don't even know. Oh, mercy. See what I did? I'm sorry, Casey. I'll sit her down in a minute.
It's okay.
She's just got to be a part of the illustration. For you married couples, you guys have your song. Even you dating couples, you engaged, whatever. You got your song, right? Me and Valerie's was Brian McKnight, Back at One. Remember that song? One. I'm going to sing a lot today, just FYI. Be prepared. It's like one, like a dream come true. Y'all know that song? Two, just want to be with you. Three, girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one. That was our song. Right? Let me hear some other songs. Anybody? Songs. What y'all song?
Sunshine, don't you go away. Don't come back tomorrow.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else? You're all like, Pastor, I'll tell you that I'm not singing it. It's okay. Just stick to the title. Anybody? Hey, can we get some lights as well? This kind of... Who's back there? I feel like a talk show host. You don't know the name of it. Yeah?
I'm so in love with you.
Y'all know it? Anybody else? You're still the one I love. I don't know that song. I know the song, I just don't know the words. Leanne Rimes? No. What's her face? Shania Twain. Who?
Go back further.
Go back further. Anybody else? Oh, go to the back. Go to the back.
Not singing.
Not singing. What is it?
I swear.
I swear
Yeah.
by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. And then the deep guy comes. I see the questions in your eyes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anybody else? Come on, we're having fun this morning. We're having fun. Pastor, I've come to worship Jesus. We're going to get to Jesus. Let's just have a little fun. Uh-oh. We'll have to sing that
Oh
before.
no.
Unforgettable. Nat King Cole. Anybody else from Passion moves on? All right, y'all got some good songs. I know some of y'all just didn't want to share your song because this is y'all's song, and when you share it, it takes away from the sacredness of it. I get it. You can keep your song, but there's tons of great songs out there. There's tons of good titles. I mean, even reading the titles, it's good. Faithfully, All My Life. I'm out of breath running. I Will Always Love You. That was a good old Whitney Houston song, you know. What are some other ones that I had written down here? Keep On Loving You. Oh, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? That's a good title. Michael Bolton too, ain't it? Tell me how am I supposed to live without you? I'm gonna do that one. Lots of good titles, but and all of them really have a good part of the message, but it's all the lovey-dovey part, right? That's all like the first date part. That's why there's a reason why your song became your song probably on your first date or your first prom or something like that, right? But then there's other songs that come up as the marriage progresses. One of them I'm thinking about is the Pat Benatar song. Anybody? What is it? Close. Hit me with your big shot. Battlefield. Love is a battlefield. We are young. Love is a battlefield. And there's a lot of truth to that. And understand where I'm going now. I'm not trying to paint an ugly picture of a marriage, okay? But just follow me here for a second as we talk a little bit further about that. For those of you who are engaged, I know we have a couple of couples that are engaged in here. It's going to be good for y'all. It's going to be good for y'all. But I'm going to ask my wife to go ahead and come on up right now. She did not know I was going to do this. One second. Don't go anywhere. I got something for you.
Gone downstairs.
Of course it's safe.
So embarrassed. Now, there's a reason to know this, okay? This is like first year of marriage, right? This is like you're still in the honeymoon stage. It's all about just that song. Oh, that's our song. It's just all about the dance.
I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Y'all got it.
All about that song. Oh yeah. The song is playing. The music is playing. It's the song. It's the love. But then something happens. Hold up.
Or if you need to go back, it's going to be good. You might not want to go back there. You might want to stay up here. Then something happens. Yeah, you can have a seat now. The music stops. And we part our ways because I got to go to work. She's got to go to work. You got to go to work. And then you part ways and you go to work, and then work is stressful. And then you bring the stress from your work home with you into your relationship, and the music has stopped. And then maybe there's changes at work. Maybe you had a decrease in your pay, a reduction, or maybe you had a change of jobs or a change of lifestyle, or something happened, and now there's financial issues and there's financial pressures on your marriage, and the music is no longer playing. And then kids come into the mix, and kids are great, but let's just be honest, kids demand our time, kids demand our attention. There's that factor involved, and the music has stopped. And no longer do we have that song playing. No longer is that music playing because life happens. And these things aren't bad. Jobs aren't bad. Kids aren't bad. They're all great things, right? But they do sometimes have a tendency to draw us away from each other. Isn't it strange how two people can start a life, but then life happens and they begin or can begin to grow apart, right? You start this journey, you start this life happens, and you just find yourself kind of drifting. You find that battlefield. Isn't it sad how two people can live under the same roof and see each other every day, yet not truly see each other? You see each other every day, but you can't truly see each other. Anybody seen the movie Avatar? Lots of you seen Avatar. So you know that phrase, I see you, right? And that went far beyond just the physical eyes. When they said, I see you, it's like I understand you. I see a depth of you. It's not just seeing you face to face. It's seeing the depth of who you really are. And I think in order for our marriages to work properly, then you and I can't just see with our natural eyes. We got to see with something far beyond our natural eyes. You see, it was your natural eyes that attracted you to each other in the first place. But as the marriage goes on, it'll be a deeper set of eyes that'll be required to keep that marriage healthy. A deeper set of eyes will be required. And I want to encourage you with this morning. Just because the music stops in your life doesn't mean the song has to stop. And for those of you who sing in the shower, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't need no music. Y'all sing in the shower. Y'all sing a cappella. And just because your song doesn't come on the radio doesn't mean you can't still sing that song in your head. It doesn't mean you can't sing a cappella in your marriage. And I'm not just talking about singing, I'm talking about having that song in your heart, having that song as a part of who you are. Because the truth of the matter is that marriage ain't always easy peasy. It ain't always easy peasy. Marriage is like a rose, if you will. You have the rose at the top. It's a beautiful, beautiful smelling fragrance. Beautiful, y'all heard me all stuffy. Beautiful fragrance. But then you get further down the rose and there's thorns, right? And that's okay. You don't throw the rose away because of the thorns. You understand a rose has thorns, but it also has a beautiful, beautiful bud on it. Thank you. It's a beautiful top part of it. And that's how marriage is. So I got some advice for you. If you're taking notes this morning, go ahead and get your pen and paper out. If you want to use your phone to take notes, you can use your phone. But it's three words of advice, not words, I guess. 3 pieces of advice. If your marriage is in a difficult season, if you're having a challenging season in your marriage, here are 3 things that I believe that I'm going to tell you to do, okay? Y'all ready? Write these down. 3 things to do if your marriage is difficult or challenging. First thing, just give up. Just give up. That's the first thing. Write that down. Second thing, find someone better. Yeah. Just find someone. No, write them down. Seriously, write them down. Don't say, Pastor, you're pulling my leg. No, write them down. Find someone better. And the third thing, you can just fight. Just fight. That's all. If it's difficult, just keep fighting. All right, y'all got those? Y'all are like, oh, Pastor, I don't know about this. This doesn't sound like good advice. Trust me. It's good advice, just not the way you may have heard it or not the way that you're thinking about it. Let's look at it so you guys don't throw me out of the church and think I'm a heretic this morning. Give up is the first piece of advice I have for you. If your marriage is difficult, just give up. That's what the world says. Just give up on your marriage. Quit it. Give up. You don't have to stick. Just quit. Just give up. Let me give you my take on giving up. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 through 25. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. And all the men said, Amen. Hold on. Now is the husband's turn. Yeah. Husbands, love your wives. I got that. I love my wife, dude. Hold on. Do you know what love truly is? I want to know what love is. I want you to show me, Pastor. What is love? What is love? Baby, don't. I got a shiny shirt, so I think I can pull that off this morning. I told you I was going to sing all that. Husbands, love your wives. Well, I got that. Well, hold on. Here's how you need to love your wives. Love your wives as Christ loved the church and did what? And gave himself for it. So we have 2 pieces of words for wives and husbands. Wives, submit to the spiritual authority of your husband. Husbands, give yourselves to your wives as Christ has given himself to the church. And so in both scenarios, we have this thing of giving. It's not just take. It's giving. We have to give up in order to have a healthy and successful marriage. We have to give of ourselves. We have to give ourselves up for our wives or for our wife. We don't believe in polygamy here. Wife. We have to give ourselves up. And as you read through all these books, listen, there's great books out there. There really is. A lot of great books, a lot of great tips on marriage. But one thing I wish they would quit saying is this. What is the secret to marriage? Well, the secret is laughter. The secret is respect. The secret is honesty. The secret is communication. The secret is love. The secret is this. The secret is that. It's like, wait a minute. A secret is something that people don't want you to know. Right? When you tell a secret, don't tell nobody. It's no secret because it's written in this book. It is no secret, and so let's not keep it hush-hush. There's not a secret But what is it? All these things we can look at, and all these things we can say, yeah, communication is good, honesty is good, all that's good, and you can make a case for all those. According to Ephesians here, though, if you don't give yourselves up for your spouse, then you will never enjoy a healthy and God-honoring marriage. It has to involve sacrifice. It has to involve giving up. There's a book that I would recommend for all of you. I'm going to give you the synopsis here, so you might feel like you don't have to read it after I tell you what it's about, but it's called The 5 Love Languages, as you can go on right now. It's called The 5 Love Languages. Have y'all heard of that book? Great book to read. Gary Chapman, the author, says there are 5 primary love languages that we each have. And our job is to figure out what our spouse, what their love language is, what they speak. And I'm going to tell you what each of those love languages are. The first love language is quality time. That's quality time. That's not, hey, baby, let's sit down and watch a movie together. No, that's, hey, let's sit at a table and stare deeply into each other's eyes and have a conversation. Unhindered, no cell phones, no computers, let's have a conversation. That's really connecting on a deeper level. Quality time is the first one. The second one is words of affirmation. Some people just need to hear that they're appreciated. Some people just say, hey, the house looks good today. You did a great job on the house. Or thank you for fixing dinner tonight. Or thank you for mowing the yard. The yard looks great, honey. Words of affirmation, right? Some people, that's their love language. Third is receiving gifts. Some people, you want to show me how much you love me? Buy me something, right? And that seems so materialistic, but that's just some people, it's not necessarily, it just might be what you've seen in your life, what maybe your parents have experienced, and so that's the love language that you feel is when people buy you gifts, you know they truly love you. The fourth one is acts of service. You want to show me you love me? Fix me dinner. You want to show me you love me? Can you iron my clothes? Can you do that? It's just that acts of service. You've seen that modeled in your life. Maybe your mother or your father did that, and that's how you see love is being portrayed. And so that's your love language, is acts of service. And the fifth one is physical touch. All right, look out now. Like, that could be as simple as a hug, as simple as a little peck, a little kiss, or it could be as complicated. And that's the fifth one, physical touch. That's the 5 love languages. And the question is, because as spouses, we can find ourselves speaking so loudly one language, but we're missing it. Why is my spouse not responding? Because you're speaking the wrong language. And I'm just going to use you guys as an example. So let's say Robin's love language is acts of service. But every day, Pat's bringing roses, he's bringing rings, he's bringing food, everything. He's buying her these gifts every day. And Robin just seems to be like, oh, okay, thank you. And he's like, man, I'm spending a lot of money on this woman. Why is she not showing me that she loves me back? Because he misses it. That's not our love language. Now, how he did the load of laundry or did the dishes that day, man, that will be her love language. Oh, now I know he really loves me. And so that's how we need to do. We can't just assume that just because we do one of those things, we're going to hit it. No, we got to discover what our spouse's love language is. And guess what? I'm such a caring pastor. I'm going to help you this morning. You ain't even got to go home and have a conversation about it, although you probably should. Raise your hand this morning. So if your spouse is beside you, you can take notes right now. Hold on. You know what? Don't just, y'all are so compliant. If your love language, if you feel like out of those 5, your love language is quality time, I just have to have quality, raise your hand. And you can only have one, okay? Don't go crazy, just pick one. What's your main one, right? Okay, so take note. If you're sitting beside somebody and that's your significant person, you need to take note and write that down. That is their love language, quality time. Okay, hands down. If your love language is words of affirmation, you need them to tell you you're appreciated. Raise your hand. Okay, y'all got raised hands right? Okay, take note. Okay, hands down. If yours is receiving gifts, anybody? Y'all like, after what you said, Pastor, you put my hand up. They warned me that might happen. I got to speed up. Or, okay, what about acts of service? Acts of service. Take note. Y'all take note. Acts of service. Acts of service. Okay, hands down. Some of y'all like, I ain't gonna do it. My hands are deep in my pockets. Physical touch, be honest. Come on, we all like to know sometimes. Some of us, we just gotta have that hug, right? We just gotta have that. Y'all put y'all's hands down quick. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I like it when my spouse kisses me. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Y'all's love language. That can help you guys. But Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, as we get ready to move on to the next, before we move on to the next point. Do not be selfish. Do not try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Next verse. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Now notice what this verse doesn't say. It doesn't say, don't look out for your interests, squash your interests. Only be concerned about the interests of others. It doesn't say that, does it? It says, don't look out only for your interests. You got to look out for your interests. You got to. There's things in your life you got to look out for. But don't just focus so much on that you miss taking interest in others. And that's giving ourselves up. It's not that we just throw all of ourselves to the side, but we have to look out for ours, but at the same time recognize that spouse also has some things that maybe we need to change or do differently. So don't look out only for your interests, but also for the interests of your spouse. So that's the first point, give up. The second point is find someone better. Pastor, I'm curious to see where you're going to go with this one. Find someone better. You know the world, you know what they say? They say if you don't like the woman or man that you're married to, just go find you another one. But you know what? It took us long enough to find the one we got. Anybody? Huh? It took us long enough to find the one we got. Now, I don't know what y'all's story is. Some of y'all, maybe in 8th grade, y'all just happened to be walking and you both turned a corner at the same time and collided and your lips accidentally hit each other and you accidentally kissed. And when you did, woo, fireworks went off and you've been in love ever since. Maybe that's a few of y'all's story in here, but some of us had to pray long and hard for our spouse. Anybody in here? You had to pray long and hard. Some of you, it took a little longer than you wanted it to take with your spouse. Anybody? Come on. Come on, it takes a little time. It took you long enough to find the one you have. Don't just start over too quickly. The world says just find somebody else. Find a better one. Genesis chapter 13. In Genesis 13, you'll see, let me give you a little backstory here. Abram is traveling to the land that God is leading him to. His nephew Lot is traveling with him. But let me just read it. I think it'll explain the rest of it here. Genesis 13, 8 through 12. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are brothers, or we're brethren, they're really nephew and uncle. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. So basically, Lot has his herd, Abram has his herd. The land just can't support both of them. Their herdsmen are bickering, they're quarreling. It's life isn't good like this. Let's just part ways. Lot, you get to pick, Lot. Look around you. You pick which way you want to go, left or right. So what does Lot do? Lot looks up and he sees the whole plain of the Jordan. It was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt toward Zoar. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Lot chose a land that looked better. That land looks pretty good. Let's go see. Let's go over here to this better land. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plains and pitched his tents near Sodom. Oh, this land that looks so great and this land that looked better than where they were really turned out to be the wickedest land in all the country. It turned out to be the land that God himself would destroy because of their wickedness. It looked good at first, but better ain't always better. Better ain't always better. I'm a baseball fan, and I like baseball, and Barry Bonds holds the record for most career home runs. 762 home runs that he hit. He passed Hank Aaron, and he passed Babe Ruth, and all those other guys. And he holds the record. And so if you're looking at it from a perspective of, I need a guy who's better at hitting home runs. I want to pick a guy who's better. So I'm going to pick Barry Bonds. You can get Barry Bonds and his better home runs, but you know what else you're going to get? His strikeouts. He hit 762 home runs, but he struck out 1,539 times. Struck out twice as much as he hit a home run. Every time he goes to the bat, he's twice as likely to strike out as he is to hit a home run. But all you can see is the better, but you don't see the strikeouts. And so if you go for the better, you got to be prepared for the strikeouts. Everybody does it. Nobody's going to hit a home run and have 0 strikeouts throughout their whole season. In your marriage, your partner is going to hit home runs, and sometimes they're going to strike out. sometimes they're going to strike. Sometimes you strike out. You know, we're going to strike out and we're going to hit home runs. And the key is, let's not just find everybody who hits home runs. You'll be bouncing all over the place if you're always looking for better. Instead of finding someone better, we need to find the better in our someone. Instead of finding someone better, we need to find the better in our someone. It's like a man with a truck. He's got him a flatbed truck, and he's driving that truck, but he's like, man, this truck is 13 miles to the gallon. I need to find me something better on gas mileage, so he gets him a motorcycle. Man, this thing is like 50, 60 miles to the gallon. I like this. And that motorcycle's better on gas mileage, but then he gets to going 70 on the interstate and cars zoom by at 90, and he don't feel so safe anymore. And he's like, I need something with better protection. And so he decides to get him a little two-door coupe. It's better protection. All right, it's better. And he's driving that two-door coupe. He feels more protected in that. But then his friends want to ride along with him a lot. He can't really fit a lot of friends. And I just need something with better space. And so he decides to get an SUV because it has better space. Well, he's driving the SUV, but then he has a change in job and he really needs to haul things. But his SUV can't really haul things. And so what do you think he does? He goes back to his truck. All this time, he's going from better to better to better, and he ends up right back to his truck because he realizes, instead of looking for the better in everything else, let me just look for the better in what my truck offers and what my truck has. And that's how it ought to be in our lives as well. Back to my rose analogy about the rose on top and thorns on the bottom. As you reach the thorns in your life, I want you to remember, I've totally ruined that point. As you reach the thorns in your life, remember there's still a rose on top, okay? You'll get to the thorns, and if you haven't yet, it'll happen. It'll happen. Don't get discouraged, don't throw the rose away. The rose is still right there on top. Y'all ready for another song?
Yeah.
I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. Y'all know that song, still? Kissed by a rose on the grave. For the longest time, I thought that was I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. And I thought, that's such a morbid song. What are you doing in the graveyard? Why are you, there's no love in the, I'm sorry, it's just my mentality. Now, actually, to be honest with you, I was going to sing it like that, and then I looked up the words and I realized that it was gray, not grave. So I just learned that today, FYI. I just learned that today. Very first time. So not only should you find the better in your spouse or look for the better in your spouse, but you also should bring out the better in your spouse. Because we all have things in life that maybe we used to be, but like I said, life happens and things change. And to encourage your spouse, you know what? You used to be like this, and there's a way to go about this, okay? Not a, you used to be like this. No, not like that. It's, well, honey, you know, you used to do this, and that really, you know, helped out, and this and that. You gotta choose your tone of voice. Choose your tone of voice wisely when you do that. Choose it wisely. But look, find ways that you can bring out the better in your spouse. So find someone better in your spouse, not someone better than your spouse, okay? And the third point is you gotta fight. Just fight. It's good to fight in marriage, as long as you know who you're fighting against. As long as you know who the real enemy is. The real enemy is not your spouse. It's not. The real enemy is that ugly what do you call that thing? Pitchfork, long tail, long snake tongue, horns. I almost said something else. Woo! Am I turning red? That's my shirt. Okay. That devil, that's the one. Y'all know what I was about to say. There's another word. Never mind. Okay. You gotta fight. You fight against the enemy. You don't fight against your marriage, you fight for your marriage. That's why I said love is a battlefield. So there's gonna be some battles. You gotta fight for it. But it's all about who you're fighting. Mark chapter 10, verse 9 says, therefore what God has joined together, let no one separate. And that includes ourselves, right? Because sometimes we can fight ourselves right out of it. We can fight ourselves right out of it. And I want to get into a little more practical stuff real quick before we close out here this morning. In the course of a marriage, there are going to be disagreements, right? Yeah. There are going to be disagreements. You're two totally different people. I mean, granted, you become one, yes, but there's going to be disagreements. But it's all in how we handle those. It's going to be the true test of whether we fight right in our marriages. It's all about discussions. I think we need to have a whole lot more discussions and a whole lot less arguments, right? A whole lot more discussions, a whole lot less arguments. So it is our job as spouses to do this. When we have, when tensions start to rise, you already know there's two different opinions, and man, they're polar opposites, and you begin to feel the tensions. I almost busted a song, but it didn't really apply. You feel the tensions, and you sense that what started out as a discussion now is starting to become an argument. That's when you have to just stop and ask yourself, okay, wait a minute, what is this all about? What is this truly all about? Because I found in life that arguments start out about things, but they end up about people. You know, that they start out addressing a thing, addressing an issue, but then it becomes a match where you start criticizing each other and throwing insults at each other, and then it becomes more about the person than it is about, well, you just don't agree with me. You don't see the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? Started out over a thing. I'll never forget. Me and my wife, we've had, you know, arguments, as we all have. But there was one, and this is, it was the most heated. And it was really in the infancy of marriage. I wish she was here so she could relate to this. It was like probably 2 years, if that, into our marriage. And it was over something so silly. We were going to, it always is, right? We were going to her cousin's wedding from West Tennessee. We were leaving West Tennessee and going to Myrtle Beach to her cousin's wedding, okay? In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, okay? Keep that in mind, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And she's like, well, honey, my other cousin wants to go to the wedding, but she don't have a ride. Can we pick her up?
Where she live?
Where she lived? Well, she's in North Carolina. We are going to South Carolina, not North Carolina. And so I said, no, that's going to be out of the way. Yeah, but we've always done things together, and she don't have a ride. And no, we're not going because it's already going to be a quick trip. And things start to escalate, right? It's already going to be a quick trip, and that's going to be like an hour out of the way, and this and that. And this was the first and only time she's ever stormed off to the bedroom, slammed the door, and locked it. She locked me out of my own bedroom. I know, open this door! You better open this door! And then she didn't open the door, so I'll go outside. And I slammed the door outside. And I would have left, but I didn't have anywhere to go. So I was like, man, I wish I could go somewhere, but I have no place to go. I guess I'll just pace out here on the doorway. She didn't lock that door. I was able to go. Because when I came again, she was still locked in the bedroom. So now we laugh about that, right? Because that was like the most escalated argument we've ever had over something that was so small. So you have to stop and ask yourself, had we at the beginning said, wait a minute, what are we really arguing about? Or what are we really fussing about? It's all about this drive. Let's talk reasonably here. Let's not let things escalate. We have to prevent escalation, because once it gets to that point of escalation, trust me, you're going to say some things that you're going to regret later, right? My dad always told me, son, be sure your words are sweet, just in case you have to eat them afterwards. Be sure your words are sweet in case you have to eat them afterwards. And when it gets to that point of escalation, you know how it is, guys. Y'all are like, you're spewing out, but you're like, baby, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean it. Baby, I'm sorry. You start apologizing for it. You're like, why do I always say that? Because you allow it to get to the point of escalation. And if it never reached that point, then you wouldn't say things that you later regret. So we have to prevent that escalation. Recognize when it starts to build, we got to have the ability to recognize that and say, hold on, let's short circuit it. Short circuit it right now. Let's cut it off. And let's not try to win the argument. Don't try to win. When you get into an argument with your point and they got their point and you're both trying to win, nobody wins an argument. Nobody wins an argument. Because what happens, let's say you have such a great presentation of your argument and you just lay it out there in such a great way that it's like, man, this makes perfect sense, and you just bam, just throw it out there, right? And they don't have anything to say, and they just shut their mouths and walk off. You're like, yeah, I showed you. You can't say nothing, can you? You can't say nothing because what I said made sense. It was the most logical piece of advice, and you ain't even got nothing to say. I won that argument. No, you didn't, George Jefferson. This is my George Jefferson stance. No, you didn't win that argument, because what happens is your spouse is going to walk away dejected, feeling like they never value my opinion. They never want to hear where I'm coming from and what I got to say. And you're thinking you won the argument. Really, you lost that. You lost the argument. Nobody ever wins in an argument. It's not about proving your point. We don't need to head into discussions or arguments to prove our point. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2 says, fools find no pleasure in understanding, but they delight in airing their own opinions. Fools delight in airing their own opinions. That relationship with your spouse needs to come before or ahead of us proving our points. We got to let go of wanting to be right. We got to let go of wanting to win. It's not about winning or losing. It's about finding that understanding. And I know I sound like Dr. Phil right now, but it's a lot of truth to that. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. You notice how these are starting to get into Proverbs now? Proverbs 4, verse 7 says, the beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom, and though it costs you all you have, get understanding. Get understanding. In all thy getting is what the King James says. In all thy getting, get understanding. Because as things get heated, or not even heated, as you go into that discussion phase and you disagree about, it's okay to disagree, right? It's okay. Sometimes you got to agree to disagree, right? It's okay to disagree, but as you disagree, one thing we need to do is make sure we understand each other. And as long as we understand each other, it's okay that we disagree. Because we at least say, hey, I see where you're coming from. This is my stance on it. This is why I don't agree with it. But I definitely see where you're coming from. Boom. Problem solved. Now let's kiss and make up. Right? Now let's go back to our song. You can still play the song. Worship team, you guys can go ahead and come up. I think Chris is going to play Unchained Melody. No, I'm kidding. Don't bust out no love song. Just to be funny, I know you wouldn't do that, but that's my advice to you guys this morning. You know, last week I said buried in love, forgiveness. This week, married in love. Excuse me. Whether you're married or not, these are things that really can help us all. You know, number one, just give up. Start giving yourself up. Start sacrificing some things in your life so others that are special to you and important to you can have things. Secondly, find someone better. Find the better in your someone. Find someone better. Find that person. There is a reason you married that person, right? There's a reason you married him. Find out. Go back to that. Remind yourself, you know what? This is why I fell in love with you, and this is why I'm going to keep falling in love with you. I keep falling in love with you. Sorry, I don't know the words of that song either. And then the last point is just fight. You know, you got to fight. You got to fight for your right not to party, but to be married. You got to fight for your right to be married. Fight for your right. Fight for your marriage. It's worth it, guys. It's worth it. Yeah, but it's challenging right now, Pastor. It's tough right now. There's some things going on. I get it. We all face different things in different seasons, right? But God put you together for a purpose. You might not see it in the midst of your challenge, but you're together for a purpose. So fight for that. Fight for that person that you love. If you're not here, if you're here this morning and maybe you're not married, but you're wanting to be, these are things that they're going to apply. You know, start giving up. As you just maybe give up and let God direct you, but also you begin to find someone better, find the better in people, and also fight for relationships that God is leading you to. So sometimes I feel like I'm rambling. Let me give an example. I've told you guys this countless times. I'll say it again. I was ready for my wife a whole lot earlier than she was ready for me. FYI. I was waiting on her. She wasn't waiting on me. She was involved in a relationship. We didn't know each other. She had a boyfriend. And I didn't have a girlfriend because I was waiting on her and she was taking too long. And I could have met her a whole lot sooner, but it probably wouldn't have worked out so well because she had a boyfriend. And they say three's a crowd. And so probably not a good idea for me to meet her. Wouldn't have done any good. You know, I'd had to fight for her. But I didn't fight for her because even after we met, you know, we're 5.5 hours away after we met. She's in Cleveland, Tennessee. I'm in Jackson, Tennessee, 5.5 hours away. And there's this guy that likes her on campus. And I know it. And she's naive, so she don't realize it. I know it. And I'm thinking, man, I gotta do something. I'm 5 hours away. This guy is gonna steal this girl that I just met, that I feel like is the right one. I gotta fight for this girl. And so I didn't go fight physically at the place, but I would do little things. One time I sent her a teddy bear. I know this is real cheesy and corny, but I sent her this teddy bear and I said, since I can't be there with you, take this teddy bear and let it remind you that I'm always here. I had to do something, I was gonna lose her. So hopefully when that other guy came around, she just grabbed that teddy bear and said, no, he's my man. He's my man. I had to fight for it. Had to fight for it. Maybe you got to do some fighting for somebody if you know it's the right relationship. And Father, we thank you, Lord, for your goodness.